guys, welcome back to Lee's Unpopular Opinions podcast, a podcast where I give my unpopular opinions, thoughts, and hot takes on things. Okay, so first of all, I know what you guys are probably thinking. OMG, Lee, where have you been? Okay, so I've officially decided that, like I said, I can't keep promising that I'll see you guys every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, and blah, blah, because that was just unrealistic. I took like a year-long hiatus, so that's just unrealistic. Sorry. Um, so like I'm always saying stuff like, "Oh, I'll be consistent now," but then like life happens, something always happens, and I have to like take a little break after a while. Then I stop being consistent with the uploads, and I come back and blah blah. I'm really sorry about that. Um, Life is just moving a little fast and stuff like that, and sometimes life happens and stuff. But I'm back. So yeah. And like I said, I have a full-time job now, and sometimes it's just hard because like life gets in the way. But like I said last time, don't be surprised if it becomes like once every 3 weeks now or once every month or something like that. But I'll try to be once every 3 weeks and stuff. But yeah, just yeah. So okay, so that's that. And also I have one update. I got a new microphone. I think this is like the third or fourth microphone I'm on, but this one is like a legitimately like legit podcast microphone. I even have like the little filter in front of it. Let me see, what does the box say? Like the microphone pop filter. So I feel really cool because like it's like so legit. Um the quality was good before, like with my old mic, but with this new mic, it's like a mic that's exclusively for podcasting and everything, and also like I have a filter for the mic, and it's just like really legit. It's just I'm excited, and I wanted to say that it had great reviews. It was for a great price, so yeah. Hopefully, I'm hopefully you guys can see the difference in quality. Maybe like people who don't like record podcasts really can tell the difference in like quality of microphones, but I can, just because like I can hear the difference and stuff, like since I'm like recording and hosting it and hearing myself. But yeah, blah 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 blah. But anyways, yeah. So anyway, let's get into today's episode. So in today's episode, we are going to be talking about why I'm not a social justice warrior. I'm going to give all my reasons behind why I'm not a social justice warrior, aka an SJW. I'm also going to be talking about what drove me to not be a social justice warrior as well, why I never saw myself being a social justice warrior, and the hypocrisy and nonsense that I've seen from social justice warriors that I simply just do not like. My first point is going to be geared towards like the woke social justice warriors, like the overly woke social justice warriors and stuff. And I'm also going to be talking about why I kind of felt like an outcast in the black community as a black person. And I guess this point is going to be geared towards more so like the black social justice warriors. And yeah, but anyway, um I'm going to be talking about why I kind of felt like an outcast in the black community and certain negative things that the black community did that was pretty toxic and kind of hurt me. So, you know how people will say things like, oh, like, I love being around my people and I love being around my community and I love having friends that are like me and like growing up in schools with people that look like me and stuff like that. And I prefer being around people that like are the same race as me so I don't feel so alone and blah, blah, blah. Like how um people will say things like, for example, like like how like a black people will be like, oh, so I love being around other black people, I love having black friends, growing up in black schools, I prefer being around other black people because I don't want to be the odd one out and stuff like that. And just in any demographic, like you want people that are also a part of your community around you. And like, I get that. Cause it's like, I get where people are coming from when they say, cause like nobody wants to be the odd one out. You don't want to just be the sore thumb just sticking out. And, also people want to be around people that are like them because, representation is important and people don't want to feel left alone. And even I can agree with that. You know what I mean? It's nice to grow up in a likewise environment and grow up with people who are like, a part of your demographic. I get that. And I totally understand that. And it makes sense. Nobody wants to be the odd one out. I know I definitely wouldn't want to be the odd one out either. So I totally understand what people mean when they say that. And I grew up around everyone, like all races, all demographics. Like, the place I grew up is pretty like mixed. Like, there's white people, there's black people, there's um, just everybody, every race, every demographic, every ethnicity. I grew up around pretty much everyone. So I didn't feel left out because I saw people that looked like me and stuff like that. And I also just grew up around other people. So I never really discriminated much because there was just so many people around me. You know what I mean? So many different people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different groups, white, black, different ethnicities, European, Asian, African, South American, and just, just everything. I grew up around everybody. And yeah, I grew up around everyone. I had a pretty mixed and diverse environment. And that mixed and diverse environment, I really liked it. Like, it had all races. I liked it that way. It was diverse. That's good. You know what I mean? So nobody really felt left out. There was enough for everybody. So another, however, I will say another thing that I've noticed that a lot of black woke people or black social justice warriors say, like, they'll say stuff like, I only want to be around black people so I won't face any discrimination. And I only want to be around black people so I won't have to deal with like any racism because they're already black and stuff. So they talk about how they want to be around other blacks because they don't want to face any discrimination. And personally, I disagree with the fact that they think that being around only black people will mean that they won't face any discrimination or hardships and stuff. And this brings me back to my point here that I'm trying to make. In my experience, being around solely black people only means that they won't make fun of you for being black. Like, they could still make fun of you for something else, they just won't make fun of you for being black. So, like, you being black doesn't, like, for me personally, me being black didn't really change that they wouldn't make fun of me. They just wouldn't make fun of me for being black. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, if you're around all black people, what's that going to do? Instead of them making fun of you for being black, they'll just make fun of you or bash you for something else then. You know? Now, like I said, I get not wanting to be the only black friend and wanting to have more friends who are like you because you don't want to be alone and you want someone with shared experience. Also, you don't want to deal with like microaggressions and stuff like that. And I get where people are coming from and stuff like that. But, you will still have to deal with discrimination just for other things. You know what I mean? You'll still deal with discrimination. You just won't deal with discrimination for things that have to deal with race. Like, for example, what if you had black friends that are sexist, or black friends that were homophobic, or classist, or transphobic, or fatphobic, or just all in all an asshole to others? The only thing you wouldn't have to deal with is racism. You still would have to deal with all the other stuff. Like, that's what happened to me. Like, I've been around black people who were sexist. I'm a big supporter of the LGBT community, and I know lots of black people who are homophobic and transphobic. I've been around lots of black people that are colorist, and I've been around lots of black people that are classist. You know what I mean? Like, I've been made fun of for, like, in middle school, like, for not having, like, the most expensive things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That sounds pretty classist, and they're black. You know what I mean? Like, everything I mentioned, like sexism, homophobia, transphobia, colorism, classism, all of that, everything I mentioned, like, were like, I know people who are black and they all participated in all of those isms and the opias, like all of that. They participated in all of that. They just didn't participate in racism. you know like, for example, right, as, like, you guys know, like, my parents are Cameroonian, so I'm a first generation, you know Cameroonian American person. Like, I was born in America, but my parents are from Cameroon, which is in West Africa. So, like, for example, right, I'm a first generation African American person. So, as a first generation African American person with African immigrant parents, I've been around lots of American black people with, like, American black parents, and they were very xenophobic. They had xenophobic microaggressions towards foreign people or, like, immigrants, and also, and towards Africans and stuff. So, for me, being around all black people really didn't solve anything for me because they still did toxic things or things that could be considered discriminatory to me. You know what I mean? I also know lots of queer black people that were really nervous around certain black people because those black people were very homophobic. So yeah, like out of all the isms and the phobias, the only one you won't have to deal with is racism. But that doesn't mean you won't have to worry about any of them. Instead, they'll just bash you for something else other than race. Um, and also, being black just means basically being black just means you can't be racist. Well, not to me, because like, I disagree with the whole black people can't be racist thing. But you know what I mean. Anyway, black people, like, being black, being around other black people, what I mean basically is being black just means like being around other black people just means like they won't come at you for being black because they're black, but black people can still be sexist, colorist, classist, homophobic, transphobic, fatphobic, xenophobic, blah 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 blah, etc. So to all the people that love being like, oh, I only want black friends, like, what exactly is that going to solve? Like, it's not about whether they're black or not; it's about whether they're an asshole or not. And I don't know why it's like that though, because you would think that since black people know what it feels like to be discriminated against and what it feels like to deal with discrimination, that they wouldn't discriminate against all of the other demographics because they know how much it hurts to be discriminated against. But I guess not. That's that's especially why I hate like that whole black people can't be racist phrase. People in our community took the whole idea of like the black people can't be racist and like they ran with it in the wrong direction. Now people in our community believe that they can't perpetuate systems of like oppression or discrimination towards other minorities or even against their own community. Like they think they can't be a problem at all, and that's just straight up not true. That's why I hate that whole black people can't be racist trope because it insinuates that like you can do no wrong if you're black in terms of discrimination, and that simply just is not true. Um, yeah. Another example of this are people that talk about the importance of being raised by black people if you're black. They mainly bring this up when they talk about white people who adopt black kids or white people that have babies with black people and have biracial black kids. Like they'll say stuff like, "Oh, I feel sorry for the black kids who grew up in white families because they're not in touch with their black side." Or they'll say stuff like, "Oh, I feel bad for biracial kids who have white parents because it's better off with two black parents," and blah blah blah. And for me personally, honestly, I think as long as you're a great parent, then it shouldn't matter what race raised you. And I say this as a black woman who was raised with two black parents. I say this because me being raised by two black parents, like, that didn't really solve much in terms of like my well-being and my mental health. My mom's mental episodes still kind of hurt and really hurt me and hurt my feelings, and in a little bit in a way, it traumatized me just a little bit. And I don't want to like make it seem like my mom is like this horrible, 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 horrible person. Like, no, she's literally awesome and we have a great relationship. But sometimes for anybody listening to this, you can love like your parents or your siblings and stuff like that, but still acknowledge like, okay, like I went through a bit of a rough patch with them, or like there was a time where we were kind of like not seeing eye to eye and there was just a lot of issues that we may have had. But all in all, I still really love my mom. Like I explained to you guys in the previous two episodes, I talked about my mom and her having, her mental issues and how it affected me and stuff like that growing up. But all in all, I still really love her, and yeah, and she's still like super super awesome. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So I was raised by two black parents, and that didn't solve anything in terms of like my my mental health and my well-being and stuff like that. Like they're great people because they're great people, not necessarily because of their race, but just because they're great people. However, even they're both still black, and my mom's mental episodes really hurt me and really hurt my feelings and stuff like that. And I love her, but like sometimes she's a lot when she gets like that, and it hurts. And like I said, so yeah, in part one and part two of the Mommy Dearest episodes, you'd understand where I'm coming from. If for those of you that listen to those, um, and my dad, he has his anger issues, and he was a lot to handle, kind of back in the day. Yeah, he's awesome too. Like he's great too. But like I said, we all have our quirks and our flaws and our issues and stuff like that. Even with family, sometimes just in the past he could be like a bit much. If he was stressed out about something, he would be like a bit, like he would just be a lot like to handle. But we've moved on, and like I still love him. He's still my dad and stuff like that. But my dad, he had a lot of anger issues, and back in the day, he's better now. But even we have a much better relationship now. I mean, we've always had a great relationship, but we just kind of had a rough patch. Sorry if I'm talking in circles. But anyway, what I'm basically, the main point is that, like, he had anger issues, and there was times where, like, I was kind of just like, whoa, like, this is a bit much. I'm like, that was just a lot to handle for me when I was younger. And so yeah, my mom had her issues, my dad has his issues, and that still like affected me. So for me personally, I was raised by two fully black parents, literally straight out of the motherland from Africa. And newsflash, being raised by black people didn't solve shit for me. I still had my issues, and I still went through things. I didn't go through things in terms of like racial identity. Like, I know I'm black, like that's not like a thing, but I still had my problems with them. That's the main point I'm trying to make. And I just want to say this to all the people who think that, like, black people who have a white parent, I just want to say this to all the people who think that black people that have a white parent because they're biracial or because they're adopted is like this terrible, terrible thing. It's about the quality of your parenting and not necessarily the color of your skin. That's what it's about. You know? I've even seen black people who talk about how, like, white girls shouldn't have black kids because white girls don't know how to do black hair. But, like, I've seen black women who take their daughter to hair salons to pay someone else to do their hair because those black women couldn't do their hair either. So, black or white, people should just learn how to do should learn how to do the basics of black hair care regardless of your race. You should learn how to take care of your hair. If, like, that's going to be your daughter's hair texture, you should just learn how to do it regardless of race. Regardless of whether you're a black woman or a white woman. If you have a black daughter, everyone should, like, learn how to do, like, regardless of whether you're a black woman or a white woman. If you have a black daughter, then yeah, you should learn, like, the basics of black hair care. You know what I mean? So, like, it doesn't really matter, like, what race you are. People should just know how to, like, take care of the kind of hair that their child is going to deal with. And, like, okay, obviously, yes, black girls will be more familiar with black hair care because they themselves have black hair, but still, black or white, anybody should just learn to do their child's hair just because. I've even seen people joke about white people not being able to cook soul food for their kids and stuff like that. And it's like, that's a solvable trait. Like, anybody could learn to cook soul food. It's like, just learn to cook soul food and then problem solved. Boom. It's that simple. And also, to all the woke black people that talk about the importance of being raised by other blacks, tell that to all the queer black people or black people in the LGBT community that were raised by homophobic black parents and see how they react. Okay? Like, they were raised by black parents and they were still in an environment that resulted in trauma. So clearly, it's not about what your race is, it's about the parenting skills and being a good parent. Um, yeah, and then another thing that I want to add to this point. Okay, so in my experience, like, okay, so you know how black people oftentimes discuss the racism that they've experienced from white people and women, and they discuss the sex. Wait, no, sorry. Like, the racism. You know how? Okay, so sorry. Let me start with a sentence. So you know how black people oftentimes discuss the racism that they've experienced from white people, and women discuss the sexism that they've experienced from men, and stuff like that, right? Like, I totally get people wanting to talk about the issues they've experienced in society with the discrimination they face as a minority or someone, like, in a marginalized group. Like, I get that. And people have the right to discuss their experiences. However, in my experience, when it comes to stuff like that, black people have been discriminatory to me. Women have been sexist to me. Black people themselves, like for example, like, black people have done things that could have been considered, like, discriminatory for race or to me, and then women have done things that could have been considered sexist to me. So, like, you're talking about your experiences, like, for example, the black people, they'll talk, like, the black social justice warriors, they'll talk about their experiences in racism from white people, but my experience in my life with racism and stuff like that came from black people. Or, like the issues that I've dealt with as a woman, they came from other women. Like women bashing for me, they came from other women, you know? In addition to men, they came from women and men. You know what I mean? So like that's my experience. Like all the shit people complain about, when it comes to their experiences from men and from white people, those are experiences that I have experienced from women and from black people, in addition to like men and white people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I've experienced those issues from women and from black people too. Like, that's my truth. That's my experience. Like, when I was a kid growing up, the people that make fun of my hair and my afro and my braids and all that, like, those were all black women and black men. I know lots of people who were black and made fun of my hair that that were and they were all the same race as me. I knew people who would mainly glorify like mixed curly hair with like a type 3A or type 3B curl pattern, and it's like I have a type 4C curling, like I have a type 4C hair pattern, and I've mainly seen black people make fun of like 4C hair. You know what I mean? And they're black. And it's like they're making fun of my hair. You know what I mean? So I usually wear my hair like, okay. So usually I wear my hair in braids or in a protective hairstyle and stuff like that. But, underneath it all, my natural hair, I still have 4C hair. And I've seen people make fun of people with 4C hair a lot. Like in person, on social media, all of that. And also to my face when I was like in middle school, like people would have comments about my hair, and it's like, dude, leave me alone. You know what I mean? And they were black. And all of the people that I've seen make fun of 4C hair, those were all black people, not white people. That's my experience. I'm not like debunking the other people that talk about what they've been through with discrimination from white people. I'm just talking about me and my truth. Like all the people that made fun of 4C hair in my life, they were all black people. And, I've been in situations also where women made me feel uncomfortable, and women have been kind of weird around me. Like, I've been in scenarios where women didn't make me feel very comfortable. And I've even met some women that have ignored whether, like, I like said yes to something or consented to something, but like in a non-sexual situation, not like rape or anything like that. Like I'm not talking about that. I just meant like in just non-sexual situations. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth. Like for example, like people say be weary of men, but in my experience, I had to be weary of women too. Like honestly. Like I went to a sleepover with this girl that I met recently, and we will never ever talk again because I just really did not care for her. She did such weird stuff, and she just made me really uncomfortable. And like, we slept. I slept over for the night. Then we went over to like this yacht and stuff like that. But she was just so like it was just a lot. It's a long story. Um, she just basically okay, so she told me we were gonna sleep over at her place and stuff, and then I got there, and a couple hours later she brought her male friend to sleep in the same room as us. And like the guy slept on the floor and me and the girl slept on the bed, but like still like that's so awkward. Like, and she never told me about it at all. Like she told me about it when the guy was like 15 minutes away, even though we've been hanging out the whole day. Like that's so weird. You know what I mean? Like, who brings a man to a woman's sleepover and then has the man sleep in the same room as like me? And I literally do not know that man. Now, mind you, me and the girl, we were in the bed, and then the guy was on the floor. But still, like, that's just so weird. Like, that's just so weird and inappropriate. Like, just no, that's just weird. And also, she was changing and she switched her shirt, and like she wasn't wearing a bra, and she had her bare boobs out right in front of me the next day when like okay, so the guy friend went out to go pick something up and she was changing, and she changed in front of me, and like with like no warning she just like switched her shirt. She had her bare boobs out right in front of me when she was changing. And like she gave no prior warning or anything, like, oh hey, I'm about to go change, and like she didn't turn around or anything, just bare boobs out. And it's like I just met the girl and like this is our first sleepover. Like, what are you doing? Like, how weird is that? You know what I mean? Like, that's just weird. Like, it was just really strange. It was just really strange. And Also, okay, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the this story into like a big story time for my next episode of my podcast, because sometimes I have personal stories and I'll do that too. But this was just super weird. Um so we were in the weekend, like the weekend that we spent together. I think she had to go to her cousin's house to get our makeup done because we were gonna go out to this thing. So I followed her to her cousin's house and we were all just chilling, right? So we were in like the bottom floor of her cousin's house, and then she like so I was just kind of like in the corner doing my own thing, and like the cousin finished doing her makeup and she was changing or whatever. And so she went to the bathroom, but then she came out of the bathroom because I thought she was gonna change in the bathroom, but she came out in the bathroom and she came out with only a bra on, like a bra, like nothing else, no panties, no nothing, and stuff like that. Like her bare butt and her bare vagina was just out, and like she was like go like just what, like why are you like, that's just gross. Like how are you that comfortable to be naked in front of someone, and like we just man we just can't try to like start the process of being friends, and like we just man like boom you're naked, like this, like that's just weird. Like you should change it to in the bathroom, you know what I mean, like because like that's just weird. Like if like and that well, I'm getting really sidetracked, but let me go back to my regular original point. If a man, like we were hanging out for the first time as like friends, and like he changed in front of me and got bare butt naked, and like his dick was out and everything, and like while he was changing his underwear and stuff like that, like and we just met and just started hanging out for the first time, that would be like just so weird and so awkward and stuff like that. But it's like, oh, women can do whatever, like no. So it's like because for example, if the situation, I explain the situation to like a guy, like if a guy did that, I feel like a lot of, and I explained the story to people, a lot of people would be like, oh my god, that's so weird, that's so creepy, blah blah. But then like if it's a girl, it's like, oh, we all have the same body parts, like that's weird, like you know what I mean, like it's weird to just get naked and change in front of people, and you like for the first time, like I'm for the first time, and this is the first time you guys hung out, like that's kind of just weird to me, like that's just strange. No shade to other people who like change in front of their friends and stuff like that. But that's probably around people you know. Like, I'm not gonna get completely bare naked and like this is the first time I'm hanging out with you. Like, that's just really fucking strange. But that's a story for another time. It's a super long story, and I'll explain it to you guys later when I get the chance, maybe even in the next episode. But it was just like such a strange and awkward situation. But the point I'm trying to make is like, it's awkward when women, like I mean for me, like that was an uncomfortable situation for me that happened, and it happened with a woman. Other people talk about their uncomfortable situations with men, but for me, like my truth was like that happened with a woman, that was just weird to me. So the point I'm trying to make is like all the things that people say they've experienced from white people or they've experienced from men and blah blah. Yeah, I've had situations like that as well, but I've also experienced like a lot of like the issues that they talk about from black people and from women. So yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. So that's one reason why I'm not behind the whole like, oh, I only want black friends and stuff like that, and I only want friends that are in this same demographic as me and stuff like that, because that's not really going to solve anything. If all your friends are black, then that won't solve whether or not they'll be problematic. It just means they'll be problematic in other areas, or and it won't determine, if all your friends are black, it won't determine whether or not they are or are not a good person. You know what I mean? It'll just mean like the issues you will have to deal with them probably won't be from race, but might be from something else. You know? And honestly, any friend that would not discriminate against me as a friend is the kind of person I want, regardless of race. And when I say discriminate against me, I mean discriminate against all of me, like identity wise. I am black, yes, but I'm also African. I'm a woman. I support LGBT rights, and I support body positivity for plus size people and small people, big people, tall people, short people, for all people. I support body positivity, and I'm not fat phobic. And black people could possibly roast you for all of the things I just listed. So yeah. I guess that's why who you are as a person matters so much more to me than your race. Black people are always like, oh, I don't want to be the only black friend. But if you grew up around all black people, then they would just bash you for something else. Like, they could be xenophobic. What if you're the only foreign friend? What if you're the only African friend? They like amongst all black people. Or what if they were homophobic and you were the only gay friend? What if they were sexist and you were the only woman friend? What if they were transphobic and you were the only trans friend? What if they were middle class and you weren't middle class and you were the only non-middle class friend and they were classist? What if you were the bigger friend and they were fat phobic? Like, it just goes on and on, Like, it just really goes on and on. It really depends on the person. Who you are and the context of your character matters more to me than the color of your skin. And like, like I said, I totally get diversity and wanting to see people that look like you that are around you, not wanting to be the odd one out. I totally get that. And I'm totally like with them on that. We all want friends that, I totally get that, it makes sense and I'm totally with them on that. But still, all in all, what matters to me most is the context of someone's character. Um, Also, even when like people say things like, oh, like, they want to move out of America because America sucks and they don't like America has so many problems, like with poverty, or like healthcare is really bad here, stuff like that. That's true, and some people do move out of America to go elsewhere, like, because America has like a lot of issues, like, that's very true. But other places have their issues too. Like, for example, like, people say like they want to go to all black countries, like the countries in Africa and stuff like that, in order to like get away from America and the racism in America. But like, even Africa has its country. I mean, even Africa has its like countries with issues too, and like there's issues that may happen in Africa too. Like, only being around black people won't solve everything. Like, there are people in countries with all black people, and even those countries have their issues too. That's basically what I mean. Like, they're what I'm trying to say. Like, for example, what about all the people that are like in Cameroon, for example? Because like, I'm Cameroonian, so I can, I that's the example I'm using. So what about all the people in Cameroon that have to deal with discrimination in another category? Like, for example, my mom told me that in Cameroon right now there's been kind of like a war like political issue problems going on, and there's kind of like a lot of like rioting and revolting right now. So like the war like political issues, they resulted in a lot of riots and police brutality amongst rioters in Cameroon a couple years ago. And well, it's still like, okay, it's not going on right now, but it did happen a lot a couple years ago. It's died down a lot as of now, but there was just like this war recently between the Anglophones and the Francophones in Cameroon, which in English means the English speaking sections and the French speaking sections. And so basically, apparently the Anglophone side of Cameroon, um, they like wanted to secede and have their own country, and they've been rioting because of that. And the Francophone military and the Francophone police have been getting into fights with the rioters, and there was a lot of police brutality and stuff. Like, it was a lot of drama. So it's like, okay, so say you left America and was like, let me go to Cameroon or something like that. Like, say like a couple years ago, you were like, okay, I want to leave America and go to Cameroon to escape police brutality. Okay, well, if you go to Cameroon and you're an Anglophone, i.e., an English speaking person, and you start, joining the secession, then, the Francophone military, who are also all consist of black people, because you're in Cameroon, it's all Africans, it's all black people, they'll still discriminate against you and do police brutality to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, what did that solve? You're still around all black people, and you're still getting discriminated against. It's about the context of people's character, not the color of their skin. Another thing I want to talk about when it comes to why I'm not a social justice warrior is the whole thing about interracial dating. I literally hate like 99% of the things that the social justice warriors have to say about interracial dating. Like, an overwhelming majority of the things they say about interracial dating are incredibly stupid to me. I mean, I already spoke about how the things that woke people say about interracial dating are dumb to me, and the things they say that I don't agree with in the third episode of this podcast. Pro blackness is great, hating other races is not. But yeah, everything they say about interracial dating just annoys me. Um, and just it just like a lot of the things they say about interracial dating just irritate the life out of me, and all the stuff that before we even get into the whole interracial dating thing, I just want to touch up on that a little bit. Before we get into that, another thing, all of the stuff that like woke black girls drag white girls for, such as like being skinny with no ass and having no lips and so on and so forth, is something that other black girls could have. Like, how do you think those black girls feel? You know, like for example, how there's all those memes about white people not having any lips, or white people like have tiny feet and stuff like that. All those memes and stuff like that, right? What if there's a black girl with no ass, or a black girl with small lips and stuff like that? Like, what black girl that doesn't have the quote unquote stereotypical black features and stuff like that? What if there was a black girl who was skinny, or a black girl that had small lips and stuff like that? How do you think those black girls will feel if they see you bashing those features? You know? And I also hate how certain woke people think that, like, if you're not like dark, then you're white. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're too like black and white. Well, no pun intended. They're too like polarized with like racial identity. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people that accuse people of not being black enough just because they're light skinned. And that's really annoying. Like, you are not like the black community bouncer. Black people come in so many different shades, and it's just how it is, you know? You can't just say someone is white because they're super light skinned, or they're not one of us just because they're super light skinned, or they're like light and stuff. And you know, also the obsession with defining race depending on your shade is a very American way of thinking. So, you know, in addition to light skinned people being accused of not being black enough, there's also white people that are accused of black fishing every time their skin is like tan because it's summertime and they're getting darker or something. You know? Like, there are people who are white but just have a tan, or are white but just are like a little darker, like olive skinned. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like people will accuse them of black fishing, but for some white people, that's just how tan their skin naturally gets in the summer. Like, there's lots of people in Europe that are white, but they get a tan in the summer. Like, Mediterranean people in Europe, you know what I mean? Like, and they'll be accused of blackfishing, and it's so stupid, you know? Just because somebody is a little darker than like pale-ish, like vampire white, just because someone's like darker than that, that doesn't mean that they're trying to look black. In the same way, black people come in all shades, white people can also come in all shades. And, you know, just because some white person is a little tan and stuff like that, it doesn't automatically mean they're blackfishing, you know? And, like, the concentration of, like, whether, like, someone's, like, trying to be black or not trying to be black, or like whether someone's black enough or not black enough, that fixation, like, and the polarizing stuff, like, that's so weird to me. Like, people are too like polar, like, it's so weird to me, you know? And honestly, I see woke black people that say stuff like, for example, like, this is something else I want to talk about too, because this is like kind of big for me. Like, I see people who are like with woke black people, right? And they'll say stuff like, I hate white influencers who fuck black guys but don't care about black issues or don't contribute to black culture, and like, oh, they'll fuck a black man but they don't care about the issues that black men face and blah blah blah, right? They'll say that about like white girls. They'll be like, oh, like, they'll date a black man but they don't care about black issues. They only want the black dick and fetishization and blah 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 blah. They'll say stuff like that, right? Like, white girls who date black who's in a relationship with a black guy, and the black guy's all famous and they don't care about, um and like they'll say like, oh, she's only in it for the black D and fetishization and blah 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 blah, right? But in my experience, there are lots of black female influencers who have been in relationships with black guys who just so happen to be like famous black guys and stuff like that, who have never spoken out on black issues and don't really contribute much to the black culture or black like Hollywood at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for example, any of like the video vixens in like the music videos, or like the video girls, like what do they do in terms of like the advancement of the black community? You know, like they don't do anything. They're just like, since, I mean, I'm not a hater. They just sit there, they're, doing what they get paid to do. They're in the music videos, dancing, having fun, doing what they do, which is great. That's awesome. Like, I'm not a hater. I love that for them. We all love to like dance and have fun and look cute. I love that for them. But it's like, it's not like they themselves are like contributing to anything, or they don't speak out on stuff. And not all, but some, they don't do stuff. It's like, what do they do? And like, what do like they'll say like, oh, they don't like the white girls. They say stuff like they'll date the black guys, but they won't, or they'll be involved in black culture, but they don't really speak on black issues. There are black women or like black girls who are like influencers and blah blah, or like been in the videos, stuff like that, and they don't speak on the issues either, or like they don't really do much or contribute much to the culture either. You know what I mean? So it's like, for example, like any of the girls in music videos, what do they do exactly? What do like any of like the baby mamas of Fetty Wap, what do they do? Or the baby mamas of NBA Youngboy? Or like, what do they do? How are they contributing to the culture? And they have a baby by a famous black guy, and they're black. You know what I mean? Or like what influencer can I think of who's black off the top of my head? Anna Montana, or Aaliyah Petty, or India Love, or Jada Wada, or Ari Fletcher. Those are all black girls that are influencers. What exactly are they doing? Like, what are they like speaking out on? Like, well, I haven't even followed India Love in a while. She actually did speak on certain issues sometimes. I haven't like seen them in a while, or like seen what they're doing, so I wouldn't know, because I just talking off the top of my head, but I don't really know. Maybe they are doing stuff, but I don't see it. I haven't followed them. I haven't even been on Instagram in a while. My private Instagram. I haven't been on that one in a while, so I don't even know what they're up to. But the point I'm trying to make is like, what exactly are they doing for the advancement of the black community, or like all the other baby mamas of all those rappers and stuff like that? Like, what do they do? You know what I mean? Like, what? And I'm not a hater. I'm not the type to be like, oh, what do you even do? You're not even like the blah blah. I am not a hater. Like, ladies, get that money, get your coin. Like, I love to see it. Like, I love to see, you know, like people like making money, being successful. I love that for you guys. Like, and like basically, sorry, I'm getting a little sidetracked here. Like, the point I'm trying to make is like, those girls, they're black, and they do the same thing that like the white girls do. Like, they look cute on Instagram, they pull up in the music videos, they sell and advertise their stuff, like on Instagram and stuff like that. Which, it's fine. Get that coin, ladies. I'm not a hater when it comes to influencers. No matter what, follow your dreams, make your money. I'm not the type of person to hate on influencers at all. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, so I'm just saying, like, anyway, those girls, what they mainly do is just look good on Instagram and sell and advertise stuff and have a career in, like, their industries, like the beauty industry or the influence industry, and then that's it. Those girls are not like the next Maya Angelou. They're not the next Rosa Parks or any of that. Like, none of those girls are like none of those people that are like that. Not all, but some of the people that are like that are actually like doing things for like the black community. So it's like when the woke people are like, oh, those white girls, all they do is fuck black guys, but they don't do shit for black culture. Okay, and neither do the black IG girls either. You know? Like, and yeah, that's just how I feel. Okay, and also, actually, I did want to put this in there. I do want to say, like, sorry, I'm not a hater. Even though I name dropped like Anna Montana and Aaliyah Petty and India Love, I just want to say, or Jada Waiter or Ari Fletcher, I don't know them personally, so let me not like come in this podcast and drag anybody or make fun of anybody and blah blah. I don't know. Maybe they are doing things for the community. I don't know. Like I said, because I don't follow them. I haven't been on my private Instagram in a while, so I haven't followed them in a while. I recurated my private Instagram such that I mainly follow like people that I like, and like funny meme pages and funny videos of cats. So I don't really like know what they do. So maybe they do stuff and I just wouldn't know. So I was just kind of like thinking of influencers off the top of my head, but I don't know. I just wanted to. I don't really know them like that, but I just wanted to put that in there because like I hate coming off as like someone that's like trying to dog somebody or hate on somebody. That's just not me. I'm not a hater. I love all people. Like, Yeah. But I just wanted to say that. And sometimes people over exaggerate about how iconic certain people are, and they over exaggerate the contributions that certain people make to society. Like someone could just exist and just be famous sometimes. Like somebody could just, it could just literally be like a famous person existing, and then they'll just be like, wow, this is like so iconic, this person making a stand, and like they're really just doing so much for the world. And it's just like, what? And sometimes people will really milk the crap out of anything somebody does, whether it be a famous person or just a well-known person. Some people milk the crap out of what they do and really grasp at straws just to be like, wow, this person is so inspirational and so iconic and doing great things for social justice, when said famous person is literally just existing. Like I feel like so many people make so many random excuses, like, oh my gosh, I like this person because they contribute to social justice and they're all power to the people. And like if they do like that person for those reasons, that's fine. But there are times where people are just like existing and people will be like, oh my gosh, this person is the next Martin Luther King. And it's like, huh? People just, and as opposed to like people just being like, okay, I like this person just because I think they're cool, they'll like milk it and they'll be like, you know what, this person is like the next up and coming Rosa Parks. And it's like, what? Like they'll grasp at straws just to justify why they like them. And I mean, well, you know what, if they're Rosa Parks to you, then cool, that's fine. Who am I to get in the way of that? People can like what they like, I don't care. But at the same time, I feel like people need to stop like grasping at straws and milking the crap out of stuff when it comes to like the people they like. Like if you like something, like it just to like it. And maybe that thing is an iconic social justice thing to you. That's fine too. But like I just feel like I wish more people would be like real. You know what I mean? Like I wish just not even be real. What I mean is like I just wish some people wouldn't grasp at straws sometimes. Like for example, right? Say like influencer that was like black and also was like a woman, just like was really well known and just like posted themselves, like, or posted like their body, confident in their body, and they just posted themselves. People like will milk it, and I'm supposed to be like, oh wow, she killed it. She's doing what she wants with her body. Like this dope. They'll be like, she's contributing by being an empowered black woman who loves her body, embraces her body, and does what she wants with embracing her body and taking a stand against women's sexuality shamers and stuff like that. And it's like, if that's how you wanted to interpret that post, then like that's fine. But people, because like that's fine because people get inspired by different stuff. Like I get that, but like if they didn't say that's like what they're doing or that's what they meant by posting that, then why are you like assigning them that role? Like stop forcing people into the role of activists. Like people be existing and people be assigning them to like the next Maya Angelou, and it doesn't really make sense. If they're not speaking out on stuff and they don't brand themselves as an activist, then I'm not going to view them to be an activist. So it's like, if people say they don't like white women participating in black culture without contributing to black culture, then why do they let black girls participate in black culture without contributing to it? You know? Um, yeah, that's just like something that's kind of been on my mind that I've always just wanted to talk about. Also, I've said this so many times. I'm probably saying this for the umpteenth time, but I have deleted my Twitter and my Tumblr. But sometimes I bring up certain things that I saw when I used to have those social media accounts just to explain some of the ridiculous things I've seen that the wokesters say. And I also don't get on TikTok as much as I used to. Sometimes I do, but I don't as much as I used to, just because like sometimes I get busy. But I did see this one TikTok where this Hispanic white girl. Okay, so she was a white girl, but she was Hispanic, and she had an accent that sounded kind of like a bit of an urban accent, like an inner city kid accent. And like she made a joke about how like she got like an ink stamp of her Instagram, and so she was explaining, like the TikTok was explaining about how she was excited because what if she went to a party and a guy asked for her Instagram, she could just like use her ink stamp and stamp it on his palm or something, and then just bam, it's her Instagram. And it was just a funny joke she made on TikTok. And someone in the comments like linked a Twitter thread where people were making fun of her and stuff. And like people were saying ridiculous things like this. Like, this is how stupid they made a meme. It's so ridiculous. They said stuff like Mark of the Beast, Why does she have a black accent? It's okay to be white and have a white girl accent, or she's gonna be branded niggas like cattle all summer. And it's like, what? It was a joke. There are white Hispanic. She was a white Hispanic person with a quote unquote hood accent because she grew up in the hood. If you grew up in the hood, regardless of race, then why would someone expect you to talk like you're from the suburbs? You know what I mean? Like if you grew up in that environment, you're gonna talk like you're from that environment. Like duh. And like at the end of the day, if you grew up around certain people, then you're gonna talk a certain way, and you're gonna end up like talking that way because that's all you know and that's what you grew around. You grew up in your environment and you're a part of your environment, so yeah. But anyway, back to the meme. Well, we're still talking on the meme, so it's not even back to you. But blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. But yeah. So you grew up in your environment, you're a part of an environment, so that's why she has the accent. And people were just saying so much stupid stuff about it. Like people cared so much over race, so much about race with that meme, and it was the weirdest thing. First of all, the meme or the joke or the TikTok, the joke and the TikTok didn't even have to do anything with race. All she did was make a funny joke that she's gonna put a stamp on people. She has an ink stamp and she can stamp her Instagram on people's palms when she goes to parties and stuff. Like it was just a funny joke. And it's like people are just going in on race, and it's like that wasn't even brought up. Like what? It's just a joke. Why would people care so much about race in a joke that had nothing to do with race? People were also saying things like, it's a cool, funny joke, but it is a cool, funny TikTok, but why did it have to fall in the accent of Black Scent Becky? Or people were saying, like, the video annoyed me, the idea is cute, but I wish a different person was doing it. And it's like, what? It's never that serious. And someone with logic in the Twitter thread said, like, why? Why does that matter? Like, it's just a stamp with her social media. It's not that fucking deep. Then one of the wokesters replied to that, like, if it's not that deep, then why are you crying? And it's like, what? The wokester was the one that was crying. Girl, you are the one crying. They're like, it's like, are they paying you to talk shit? Why is everybody so worked up over that, like, meme? Like, it's just not even a meme, but it's just a joke and a funny TikTok. Like, it's not that serious, you know? Like, why be racist when it's not, or not, like, not even racist, but why bring up race when it's not needed? If she was saying something out of pocket in a sense, then yeah, it makes sense for her to get backlash. But she didn't even do anything. She just existed and made a meme with her quote unquote, like, sorry, excuse me, I kind of yawned there a little bit. Sorry. She just existed and made a meme, and she just so happens to have like a bit of a, like, a kind of an urban accent. And Twitter dragged it, and it's like, for what? The joke she made me like the thing she was saying, it was a funny TikTok and it made me laugh. So why be so stuck on race? How does something as innocent as that video make people mad? It's just desperate at this point. They're just they're really sensitive, and people are just so sensitive, it's really annoying. And it's just like all that over a funny TikTok. For what? It's just so ridiculous at this point. Okay, so now I want to talk about a list I made. And this list is going to be a list of the dumbest things I have ever heard woke people say. I wanted to share this list with you guys just for like good laughs, like, um I I remember saving this to my gallery one time because I was like, this is so ridiculously stupid. I have to put this in my pod, like in my podcast if I ever make a podcast one day. So before I leave my social media, I save all of these. So yeah, first stupidest thing I've ever seen on social media. So the list of stupidest things I've ever seen on social media. Okay, let's get into it. Number one, Santa Claus is black. Like he's just a black person. Okay, first of all, regardless of who portrays Santa Claus, whether it be in movies or at the mall when you go to the mall and take pictures with Santa Claus or whatever, regardless of who like plays the role of Santa Claus, Santa isn't real. Like Santa is a fairy tale. He's not real. Like how how is he? He's not real. What? But anyway, I've seen people. This number two, the second stupidest thing I've said. In regards to the Pray for Paris thing from back in 2016, people said, I mean, it's kind of, this one person said, it's kind of tragic what happened in France, but like, didn't they kind of deserve it? Isn't that crazy? Like, they're going through so much, and that's what someone said about them. Like, what? like that's just so crazy. But anyway, number 3, having baby hairs is cultural appropriation. That's very stupid because first of all, anybody, black or white, could have baby hairs. So it's like, what? That's something people naturally have. How are you racist for something that you naturally have? Number 4, white people are inherently racist. Not true because you don't know all people. Nobody is inherently anything, period. Number 5, melanin has its own soul. So the less of it you have, the less of a soul you have. I don't even. That's just the stupidest thing I've ever. I guess these were one of those Black Twitter meme things. I guess, but that's still so stupid. I don't know. Maybe it's a meme. I don't know. That's stupid though. Number 6, like I said, anything on interracial dating. Oh, you're an Uncle Tom if you date or marry a white person. Oh, if a black man dates outside of his race, it means he hates his mother. Dating outside your race is oppression to your family. You broke the bloodline and all that other bullshit. Like, love's love, just deal with it. Yeah, so that is a list of some of the things I've seen on Twitter that like I legit did not care for, and I thought that they were so ridiculously stupid that I wanted to tell you guys. It's like, how crazy are some of these people, you know? But anyway, that was just a little fun intermission of like fun stuff I've seen online from the wokesters and stuff. But anyway, let me go on to my next point of why I'm not a social justice warrior. Another reason why I'm not a social justice warrior is because I feel like I have opinions that would get me canceled in the black community. Like, I just don't think our views would align all the time, and I just don't agree with their sentiments. And to be honest, I mean, I say this all the time, but that's why I'm so happy I deleted my Twitter in 2018 because I got tired of seeing that annoying shit that would just get me worked up all the fucking time. I hate getting worked up over dumb shit that I see, you know? I'm tired of hearing people's ridiculous opinions, and I'm tired of hearing people throw fits over nothing. Like, it's exhausting, and I legit just don't agree with a lot of their opinions. Like, for example, a lot of like their opinions on cultural appropriation. I do not care about who puts braids or what race puts what braids and what blah blah. Work what you want and do what you want. I literally don't care. And this is coming from a black woman. You know, like I don't care. And like, I mean, okay, yes, give credit when credit is due. Like, you know, it's important to know where things came from. But if people want to put braids in their hair, regardless of race, let them do what they want. Like, who cares? You know, like that's just something that will probably get me canceled in the social justice community, but that's my opinion. You know? Another thing that like other people, other social justice warriors love that I don't really care for, I don't like this I don't like that like the kind of shows like Blackish and the shows Black AF. Just personally, I don't care for those shows. They seem funny and like they seem like they have like a good synopsis. Like I've watched it in the background when my sister was watching TV sometimes and they seem funny, but like they're too like social justice warrior preacher-ish to me. Like, you know what I mean? Especially the show Blackish. Like it's just too preachy for me. Like it's too preachy. And like for the show Black AF, even on a show with like an all black cast, they have to talk about white people this, white people that sometimes. And it's like the same topic every time. Like, you know, and it's like, okay, yes, we can talk about black issues. We can talk about that. We can talk about the things we've gone through and like the things you've been through with a white person. I get that. But it's always just like white people this, white people that. It's like yes, we can talk about it. Sometimes we do have to talk about it, like all the time. This is a show about Black AF. Talk about that, like you know, like I don't know. Like I guess some people are just unaware that they can uplift Black people without even mentioning whites. But I guess I don't know. Like I miss the days where being Black wasn't the only thing that a Black show was about, or being Black wasn't the only thing that the entire plot of the show revolved around. You know, like I just not really my cup of tea. And you know, another reason why I'm not a social justice warrior is because I like to think for myself. I refuse to be ashamed for having an opinion that goes against the grain. I am not going to let communities as toxic as Tumblr or Twitter dictate my morals. Period. Something I always saw on Tumblr back when I was on Tumblr was people who bashed other races in order to lift up their own race. And it's like we can uplift our race without bashing others. I also don't like people that target an entire demographic as opposed to only targeting bad people within a demographic. You know? We're supposed to fight against racist people, not white people as a whole. We're supposed to fight against sexist people, not men as a whole. You know what I mean? And like I get why they want to uplift us, and it's because they're fed up with, black people constantly being made fun of and all the things black people have to go through. So they try to so I guess like with all the frustration they went through, they tried to like even the score by bashing white people back. But it's just like, no, that's not the answer. Nobody should bash anybody. Nobody, no race, no nothing, period. And another opinion that I disagree with that a lot of woke people say is the whole black people can't be racist trope. I mean, I already said this before, but I still want to elaborate on it more. As a black woman, I think my biggest concern about this mentality of the whole black people can't be racist thing, my biggest concern about the mentality is that many other woke black people are adopting this as like fact, and then like actual racism from other black people towards other races are not taken seriously. So it's like black people are being racist towards other races, not and not only like white people, like what if like towards like Asians or towards like South Americans or Latinos that like that, like you know what I mean. So it's like it's not taken as seriously. You know what I mean? Like not just towards whites, towards other minorities too. So when a black person discriminates against Asians, Latinos, Middle Eastern people, etc., it's seen as not that big of a deal just because like this whole big trope on like, oh, black people can't be racist and blah blah. I feel like this mentality gives racist black people a free pass to be racist to whomever, and it's scary. Like there are black people who took the whole black people can't be racist thing and just ran with it. Now they think they can't be discriminatory, period. And that's not cool. Like that's just not true. Anybody can be discriminatory. I also hate when they make their activism their entire personality. Anybody who makes their whole wide world about activism is annoying. Like seriously, that's just annoying. And yes, conversations about important race related topics are important to have, yes, but still like sometimes I just get so tired of it. It's just so exhausting. And like, how some people will talk so much about draining topics that affect your mental health? It gets so tiring having every convo you have with someone being all about like all the sad and mentally draining issues all the time. It's like constantly having trauma convos. And people need to realize that you can exist outside of your activism. Also, I want to be able to like joke around and talk around and stuff like that without people feeling like they're gonna go all MLK on me if I say the wrong thing. And I'm glad that like people found things that they're passionate about, but it's like, dude, if that's all you talk about, then we have nothing to talk about anymore. And in some of those cases, I've learned that if activism is your personality, then sometimes, not all the time, not all the time. I'd say I've seen this like a solid like 30 to 35% of the time. Not often, but sometimes I have seen this. Sometimes I've learned that if activism is your personality, then sometimes for some people it's performative and it's a way to feel superior. Like some people just want to do it to be holier than thou. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that some people do. I'd say like I've seen that like a solid like 30 to 35% of the time. I've definitely seen that. And yeah, I just hate being around people who make their activism their entire personality because like I hate feeling like I have to walk on eggshells for people. That's very annoying. And it's also sad because it's like, where has our society come to where everyone is upset and trying to change the world, yet everyone is so stale and just like rigid and just, it's just weird. Like, do not make your entire personality about your activism. It's great to have causes you stand for, but just don't be annoying with it, you know? Two more things that I want to bring up in regards to why I'm not a social justice warrior. Um, so one of them is this one point I wanted to make that I really wanted to bring this up. I just feel like When it comes to like accolades and things that like the black community did for like society and stuff, like okay, black people, we did a lot of stuff. We did like the black community, like we just did a lot of things, and like we have a lot of accolades in our community for the things we've done and contributed for society and for the world. But like we didn't do everything. Like we didn't invent everything. We didn't do everything. And I've met like so many social justice warriors that want like accolades for everything. And like I like that doesn't make any sense. We didn't do everything. We did a lot, but we didn't do everything. Um I've seen a lot of social justice warriors